This podcast is brought to you by New Life Ministries.
Welcome to the Every Man's Battle podcast. I'm your host, JJ West. On this podcast, you will hear honest conversation and encouragement for living a life of sexual integrity. Let's get to today's episode. Welcome to the Every Man's Battle podcast. I am JJ West. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I work in the Central Florida area, primarily with individuals and couples dealing with sexual integrity and betrayal. I also get to serve as the presenter at the Every Man's Battle Intensive. And this is what I do for a living. This is my life. This is what I love. And I'm here with Doug.
Hey, JJ. Doug Barnes here. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I live in the Dallas area, and I too work with men and couples struggling through sexual integrity issues and all that implies. I also work with the Every Man's Battle Intensive. I'm a group facilitator for them. And very similarly, I love what I do. This is my life, and this is what I've been called to do. And I love working here, JJ, just the way that we can find a way to not only help ourselves, but to help anyone that was in earshot of what we say. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Great to be back on the podcast with you. Happy podcast day to you. So today we are on episode 4 of season 2, and we're going to be talking about how do I measure recovery success? What does it look like? How would I know that I'm actually doing good recovery or that I'm doing recovery at all? Versus I'm just playing a game or I'm just doing something totally different than where I'm supposed to be. So we're gonna unpack what it means to do good recovery. How do I measure that, right? And it's kind of challenging.
Well, it is for me. Can't speak for everybody, but the way that I encapsulated this, the way that I thought through this, first of all, working recovery from a men's point of view, we have a tendency to look at recovery the way that we look at our lives. So we're looking through DIY, we're looking through project management, we're looking through a task list, we're looking at what can I do? What can I accomplish? So sometimes recovery becomes just another thing to accomplish in my day, my life, or whatever. And for those of us who are performance oriented, that hits a strong chord of what well, I wasn't saying that, but it hits a strong chord with accomplishment.
That's me too.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. But to do that in a way that that says, I am someone and I've done good work is more than just doing and accomplishing something, performing. Okay. So the way that we can look at this is we can separate this. And you and I talked this over and we worked out a couple of categories: tangible and intangible.
Right. So
in the tangible category, we have those things that we can do. For instance, we have at the Every Man's Battle Intensive, in sessions 5 and 6, we talk about a battle plan. Correct. We talk about the necessary components of the work that we need to be doing to get to our hearts. Part of the problem in looking at it that way is that we leave off the last part, getting into our hearts. We're good at doing the things, the items. There's a checklist. There's a lot of tasks to do, and we need to just keep moving toward how does the work of our battle plan get to our hearts, not just our left brain, because it's all good, but how do we get to our hearts? So the first thing
because we can make the error of making it all about behavior and nothing about the intangible about my heart, or I could make the error that it has nothing to do with behavior. It's just how I feel. It's just character issues. Well, if I'm working on character, that has to impact my behavior. There's no way I can be accurately working on character and it not impact my behavior.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that here in just a minute. So going down our list of tangibles, those things we can touch, feel, we can work on, we can do. The next thing would be step work. Part of our work is really working the steps, the 12 steps, and understanding our powerlessness, and understanding that we need to turn our will and life over to the care of God, and so on and so on. And so it's working through those steps. Sometimes we get bogged down in just the question and answering questions that, again, we lose sight of the change inside of us. We're seeing a trend here, right? And so we need to be careful about just doing outside of being.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's because we are human beings. We're not human doings, right? We do things, but we are human beings. And so we have to be looking at not just what I do in terms of behavior. That's important, but I also need to be looking at the way it impacts my heart and the way it impacts my relationships.
Right. And in past episodes, we've talked a little bit about that, and that'll be an ongoing topic in a theme that's spread through all of these podcasts.
Correct.
So moving on, there are 3 that I may need to go into just a little bit. I put in this category, as we were talking, books, podcasts, and webinars. Now, some of us, again, look at this like, okay, I've got 20 books on my mantle that I've got to go through, and I've got to go through them by Saturday when I meet with my counselor or my coach or my minister or therapist or whatever. And I want to challenge that a little bit, to, especially when it comes to books. Okay, reading a chapter is great. What I suggest is to take a chapter, read a few pages, maybe read a section or 2 out of that chapter, read it for chapter's sake and for reading it, right? And then I go back and I reread this. Now I've got my highlighter in one hand and my red pencil in the other hand, and I'm going through and I'm marking what stands out to me.
Right.
What aha moments do I get from those 4 or 5 pages? And I'm maybe for me anyway, I'll put an asterisk in the margin on that particular line that'll have that particular word or phrase, because what we're doing, again, going back to our character, we're looking for ways to put into practice what we're learning. And so many books have great things that they spread out, but that they spell out.
It's the difference between approaching this. It's the difference between approaching this like a homework assignment in school, where I'm just getting the task done. I'm just getting the assignment done, move on, do the next thing, learn, regurgitate, then forget it, as opposed to I'm trying to understand, how does this apply to my life? How does this affect my character? What do I want to carry forward with this, rather than just I read, you assigned this book. I read the whole book in a week and a half. I'm good. I'm done. Well, do you remember anything from that book? Does anything apply to your life?
Right. And that's what we're trying to, again, doing the reading is awesome. Now we're pulling from that, we're extrapolating from that, those aha moments that apply to me. You and I could read the same section, and I would get something from pages 1 and 2, and you get something out of 3, 4, and 5. I mean, I don't know, I'm just making it up.
Right.
But that's the beauty of this, because my recovery, I need to own it. And I need to own the work that I'm doing. My wife, my girlfriend, my significant other, my family, I need to be out in front of what they think it might be doing, and I need to get ahead of them, saying, okay, where does the work in my recovery need to go? And that's a collaborative event with my coach, counselor, mentor, minister, accountability partner, and so on.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So that's how we approach books. What about podcasts, webinars, and the like?
Yeah, podcasts and webinars. Okay. Again, great entertainment value. I love that, and we're hopefully a part of that. And so my recommendation is listening or watching the entire length. Okay, so if it's 20 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, watch it for entertainment value, watch it for how it affects me. And then I go back, and now I've got my journal and I've got my pen, and now I can start and stop. And I'm listening for what are the nuggets I need, again, to apply to my life and my own recovery. Mm-hmm. What are the things that stand out to me? What are those phrases or statements or processes that stand out to me over everything else?
Correct.
So
and I like the idea. I like the idea of listening to the whole thing first, so you have already an overview of where is this headed, where does this fit. Now I go back and I'm listening with a more critical ear, not like I'm criticizing it, but I'm listening with a critical ear of, okay, how do I now take that nugget that I heard the first time through, and now I know where it fits in the overall theme, the overall plan. But now, how does it apply to my life? How am I going to walk that out? What am I going to do this week in response to what it is that I heard?
Right. And that's the practical application. And that's where the podcasts and the webinars really play a great value and added value to our recovery, because there are lots of them out there. Mm-hmm. And we can separate the good from the bad, the stuff that may not apply right now. But the things that do apply right now, I can incorporate those into the life transition that I need to be making for my recovery.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I think that's really important. Okay, so moving on. You know it, you love it, you can't live without it, right? Therapy. Or coaching, as we may call it, therapy and coaching in whichever we do. Those usually give tangible assignments. Not everybody does, but good coaching and therapy I think is vital to the leading of this recovery process, especially someone who has been there, done that, and can sift through some of the really hard questions that we all have about recovery and the process, and how do I do it? How do I say something the right way? How do I do something the right way? And so therapy, coaching, groups. So there are lots of groups out there. You know, New Life has the Sustained Victory groups for those who have been through the intensive. There's a lot of secular groups out there, SAA, SLAA, and all kinds of other letters that are out there. Some of our churches have groups that, again, I'm going not to sit in a chair and take up space on a Tuesday night or a Thursday morning or whenever it is. Mm-hmm. I'm attending those groups to look for the work that I can apply to my life for my life change. Mm-hmm. If we're going and just telling, all the nasty things we did that week and getting up and walking out, we wasted our time.
Or if we're just going to listen to other people tell the nasty things they did, and I don't say a word. I just sit in the outer circle and observe, right? No, that's not participating in a therapy group.
Correct. And that borders on a task or a list. I check the box and then I go home. Hey, honey, how was group? Oh, it was great. Anything to eat? And we don't really get much out of it. And so we need to be looking for a group that helps us work our recovery process. Mm-hmm. One-on-one accountability.
Okay.
Sometimes
say more about this one-on-one accountability. Do I have to do that?
No, we don't. I don't think we have to. I think we get to.
Okay. I say the difference there.
Okay. Have to is because some long-haired guy with a microphone and a platform says, you need to do this, is not the reason to go do it, because then again, I'm going back to my task list. I'm just checking a box. I meet with Joe, I don't know, Sam, Bill, whoever. I'm meeting with them, JJ, right? Whatever. I'm meeting with them, and I need a platform for what do I talk about? Where am I going with that? Right? And am I really putting myself, my heart in a place for accountability? I mean, we don't do it. Just because I'm meeting with another man doesn't mean I'm in an accountability relationship.
Correct.
I mean, we can talk about football and politics and the weather and how things are, going in the world and so on, and have great coffee, but walk away again, not looking at how is this affecting my recovery and how I can change my heart and my character.
Right. Right. And am I coming into it wanting to be accountable, right? To give an account?
Yes.
Or am I playing the game of, well, if he asks me the right questions in the right order with the right tone of voice, then I'll tell him the truth. But otherwise, I'll just keep it to myself. That's not accountability. Accountability is not you have to hold me accountable. Accountability is I give an account to you of what's going on, right? So is my heart, right? There's always this combination. Is my heart set on, I get to do this because it's helping me in my recovery versus I have to do this because some, long-haired guy with a microphone told me I had to, or because my wife said you better do this or else, right? Yeah.
Right. Or my coach, counselor, mentor said, if I don't do this, then they're going to kick me out and I don't get to go to group and so on and so on.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Y'all have done me an excellent service through this referral network of counselors.
For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
If you need a counselor, whether in person or virtual, New Life can help. We have a nationwide network of licensed Christian counselors. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Okay, so you've listed all of these very tangible ways of measuring my recovery. You talked about a battle plan. You talked about going to groups. You talked about books and podcasts and webinars. You talked about therapy, group counseling or group therapy, step work, and one-on-one accountability. Do I just get to pick one or two of these that I want to do? Do I have to do all of them at all times, at the same intensity level? How do I make this work practically in my life? Because that's a lot of stuff. How am I supposed to do all that?
Yeah, great question. I wish I had some dice. I could, the dice sound, like roll the dice,
Uh-huh.
So doing it all, I think would overwhelm anyone. Mm-hmm. It would overwhelm me. I mean, I need a few choices, and that gives me the opportunity to work the ones. Again, this is where the guidance of me submitting to someone greater than myself, someone in authority, who can help me where I am, whether I'm just past D-Day, the day of discovery, or if if I'm in real early recovery in the first few months, or if I'm mid recovery, 2 or 3 or 4 years. Or if I'm working late in recovery where I have a lot of tools under me and I'm really practicing good work. So I think there's a mixture there of where am I? And I think getting under leadership of someone else will help me decipher that of exactly where I am. And I need to submit myself to that person or to that group so that I can grow, because if I get into some place that's legalistic, then it's going to be about the tangible. It's going to be all about the doing.
It's all about the tangible. It's all about behavior. Yeah.
Right. And there are those folks and groups and things out there like that. So it's not a bad thing. There are brothers and sisters, right? So fine, mm-hmm. I get it. Mm-hmm. But I think we need to look at the marriage, if you will. It's the dichotomy of doing the work for work and how it's changing my heart. Mm-hmm. I have a recovery equation: time plus believable trust building behaviors plus the sanctification of my character. And I think all three of those things put together make good recovery. Again, it's just mine. That's not everybody. So when I'm thinking through that equation, where is my submitting to someone greater than myself, further along in recovery, who can lead me and guide me and kind of walk me through? Okay, so you're working your battle plan from the intensive. Okay, great. Are you in a group that works the steps? Or, hey, you're in a group that works the steps, so why don't we meet once every other week to start with and see how that goes, to maybe we might need to back that up to once a week or maybe twice a week, depending on where you are and what your issues are. And so it's walking through that with some sort of leadership person, I think is the best.
I love that aspect, that idea, because it goes in line with, there's several passages throughout the Bible, primarily in Proverbs, that convey the idea that there's great wisdom in the counsel of many. The one that comes to mind right now, Proverbs 15:22. Without counsel, plans fall or fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. So in other words, listen, dude, you have blind spots. You've got blind spots. And so exactly. The reason we know that you have blind spots is because we have blind spots.
Correct.
And if I am going to do recovery only from my own perspective, well, I'll just put this thing together. I mean, I manage so-and-so 100,000, employees, or I'm in the military and I oversee this number of platoons, or what, I don't know. I'm not in the military, obviously. I have built these businesses. Obviously, I know how to get things done. I'll just do it myself. That doesn't take into account that you have blind spots. And so I want to invite others, like you said, who have a track record, who have some experience with this, who have some knowledge with this, that can help me and they can point out either when I'm taking on too much and I'm now addicted to my recovery, right? I'm just doing, and I'm not addressing my heart issues, or I'm slacking. I'm putting off, well, I'm just going to read a couple pages of that book this week. I'm not going to do group work. I'm not going to do step work. I'm not going to go to my therapist. I'm taking it easy this week. And this week turns into this month and this year, that I have people in my life going, hey, I think that you're slowing down your recovery, and that's going to invite you to go back into your addiction cycle, right? I need people in my life that are willing to do that. The only way I get that is if I invite them in. Right. I have to put myself in the council of many. They don't just show up at my door. I have to invite that. I have to welcome that. And then, as you said, I have to submit to that.
And that's hard for us. That's hard. And I don't like to make universal statements, but that's difficult for a lot of men. It's difficult for me. And so learning that technique, learning that philosophy of, I need to learn how to just be okay with someone who really loves me and cares about me and says, hey, I think you need to be blank. I think you need to be working here. I think you need to be putting your efforts there, and so on. I think that says a lot about the changing of my character.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because I wasn't brought up that way.
And it is hard. It is hard. I think it is hard for men in general. I think it's particularly hard for addicts, because we have this avoidant streak, whether we're avoidant, in terms of our personality or the way we do relationships. We have at least an avoidant streak that says, I'm just going to isolate. I'm just going to handle all of this on my own. And that's not helpful for us. And so this is coming against that trait, that negative trait, that unhealthy trait that we have. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the tangible, all these behaviors that are more easily measured. We got to spend some time talking about the intangible, but I'm recognizing that we've already kind of used up this allotment of time for this episode. And so what I think we ought to do is shift and take the next episode to talk about the intangible ways that we measure recovery success before we move on. So that being said, if we're going to close this out, if we're going to close out this episode of how do we measure recovery success from the tangible perspective, couple takeaways. Number one, I feel like if you don't have that counsel, you don't have those people in your life, you don't have this team that is helping you walk down the path, you need to start working on that. You need to start looking for, praying, asking God to bring some people into your life, or maybe a better way to say it is to identify the people who are already in your life who could serve in that role. asking God to help identify those people. And then you have to take the uncomfortable step that we as men and we as addicts don't like to do, which is I got to then go to them and say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
I can't do this on my own. Right. I'd like to be able to just do this on my own, be, the Lone Ranger, Rambo, I can handle this, but I can't. And would you be willing to be part of my team to help me, be part of my council of many that helps me walk out my recovery successfully?
For sure. Walk with me. Yeah. Yeah.
Walk with me. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me just say one thing more about the tangibles. It can sound like those are bad things. And I don't want to come across as those being bad things. We need to do the work, and the work needs to be measured. Yes. And so those things that we listed today are, like you said, they're measurable components of recovery. But that's not all. That's not all we do. And so I just want to make that, just to stress that point. Yes, we need to be doing work in the battle plan or in the steps or with books and podcasts. I mean, there's a wealth of information out there, but it's not all about what my left brain knows. And so now in our next podcast, we're going to be translating that to our heart and then helping them talk to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I love that. It kind of reminds me, there's a verse in James where, the thrust of the New Testament is that we are not saved by works. Mm-hmm. Romans, Galatians, there's this overwhelming theme of we are not saved by works. We're saved by grace through faith alone. Correct. But James comes along and says, yes, but you were saved to do good works. So we're not throwing out works as bad. We're not throwing out, in this case, we're not throwing out these tangible behaviors as bad, as unimportant, as distractions. No, we're saying, yes, recovery should lead to these good works. These things should be part of my recovery, but it's not sufficient. It's not the only way that I measure recovery. And so I'm so excited for our next episode where we now tie in the intangible heart character issues. How do I bring these two together? My left brain and my heart.
Right. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. For those of you who are listening, who've stayed with us so far, we're glad that you have. We want to encourage you to come back and listen to the next episode where we wrap up this topic. But we also want to highlight a couple of things. Number one is I want you to be praying about, if you've never been to the Everyman's Battle Intensive, I want you to pray about whether or not God might be calling you to go. The advantage is that you get a $50 discount on the registration fee. If you just put in EMBPOD in the discount code, you'll get that $50 off your registration. Especially right now, you can still get the early bird special for whatever the next one is, right? You may have to go a month and a half out instead of a few weeks out, but sign up for the Everyman's Battle Intensive. We actually just had a recent workshop where we met a guy who found the intensive through listening to the podcast and brought his dad along, which I thought was fantastic. I would love to see more guys taking that next step of recovery, that it's not just, like we said, reading a book or listening to a podcast, but it's taking that active step of, I'm going to learn how to be in connection in relationship with others. So I want to encourage you guys to do that. I also want to encourage you, if you need some more information, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go on the website to newlife.com/EMB. You can learn more about the intensive. You can also get some of the resources that we've been talking about today, maybe some of the books that are specific for recovery. You'd be able to read about and then order those. So thanks again for listening. Doug, thanks as always for being in studio with me. It's always great to hear your wisdom as someone who is down the path and has learned some things, sometimes the hard way, right? But has learned some things, and your willingness to share that with others is beautiful. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Until next time, guys, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode where we cover the second half of how do I measure recovery success by looking at the intangible aspects. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening. This podcast is just one of the many ways we can encourage and help you. If you're looking for more help, visit us at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Please remember to review, like, and share the podcast as it helps others find us. If you have a comment about this podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line at embpodcast@newlife.com. See you next week.